Jim Monahan, along with that guy over there, Chris Swendeman, the 2 Minute Drill podcast, the post MLB trade deadline edition. And I guess, Swendy, we can start with the obvious, and that would be Tarek Skubal going from the Tigers to the Dodgers as the rich get richer. I'm not surprised that he went to Los Angeles. What surprised me was the Dodgers made this move and the Tigers a lot earlier than I thought they would. You mean to tell me that some other teams like the Phillies or the Rays or the Braves or the Brewers couldn't have been involved in something that could have gotten the Tigers an even bigger haul than what they
Mhm.
ended up with?
The thing that amazed me about the deal, if you floated it out there that he was a trade to the Dodgers was imminent, what would have been the reaction of the Phillies, of the Brewers, of the Rays, of all the pitching needy teams to see who would have jumped, who would have knee jerked? If you would have gave it another 24 hours, found that sweet spot between Saturday night and then Monday when the trade deadline, and then when you start to get a little dicey because now you're playing chicken, and the Dodgers are really good at that. Last time I checked, I think it would have been interesting if they would have let it sit and simmer until at least Sunday night, and then pulled the trigger. But you have two teams in Milwaukee and Tampa who have two of the best farm systems in MLB. They had the surplus. They could have easily done this. The Phillies had a package that they offered and apparently were turned down. But for Milwaukee and Tampa, I just don't get it. You know, it, Everybody wants to be mad at the big bullies, the Dodgers. The Dodgers get deals done. If you're a Dodger fan, you have to be just in your glory watching them just muscle people out and do whatever they want, whenever they want, and get the guys that they want. Go, we want him. Oh, two-time Cy Younger? Come on down. We got you. I mean, how do you not love that? And you know what? For all the other teams and for all the other fans, that are all upset right now, and oh, the Dodgers. No, it's not the Dodgers. It's your team. It's the Pirates. It's the Brewers. It's the Rays. It's fill in any other team here. They all had their shot, and they decided not to take it or to overpay or whatever they had to do to get Scooble on their squad. So you know what? Look in the mirror and blame your team's owners, because that's who's at fault, not the Dodgers.
I know Scooble lost in his first outing with the Dodgers, but it's not about any game he pitches in August. It's not about
No,
any game he pitches in
nope,
September rather. It's about the
right,
games that he's going to pitch in October. So if
hmm,
you are the Rays,
absolutely,
if you are the Brewers, imagine Scooble and Mizorowski as a 1-2. I mean, come on. But you're right. I mean, the
how do you?
Dodgers,
Yeah,
they draft well, they develop well, and they know how to make deals. And if, especially like I see the NY on your hat, I know a lot of Yankee fans
yep.
are really up in arms over this. This is what the Yankees used to do. The Dodgers have
Right.
turned into the evil empire.
The Yankees of the '90s were what the Dodgers are today. The '90 and early 2000 Yankees are the exact replica and the blueprint for what the Dodgers are doing now. They muscled people out. They went and got people like Clemens. They went and got people like Wade Boggs. They went and got, any one number of players that they went and got to help them that built this dynasty that the Yankees had. How do you think they did that? Yes, they had the core four, but the Dodgers have core players that they just keep bringing up from the farm system, and they still have guys in the farm system that are great. The Dodgers are playing chess while everybody else plays checkers. It's that simple.
Speaking of the Yankees, they had an okay trade deadline. I know that there are some fans who are
Eh,
upset, but they had an okay trade deadline. They got two pieces that they needed, and they didn't give up a frontline guy for
right.
it. None of their prospects went. And I know there's some fans who say, well, listen, maybe you should trade some of these guys. But, they brought in a bat that they needed, and they brought in an outfielder that they needed. Now, there are some holes with both of them, both
Right.
Garcia Jr. and
Right.
Ramos. There are definitely some holes, but they needed an infielder. This guy can hit. He's leading the National League in slugging percentage, so you know he's
Yes.
going to help the lineup.
Right.
And they didn't fill the holes, though, that they really needed to, and that was catcher, and that was shortstop, and I guess you could say a relief pitcher. And when you look at some of the guys who got traded, Liam Hicks, not a great defensive catcher, but he can hit. He goes to the Rays, the team the Yankees are trying to catch. And then there's Adley Rutschman, and he goes to the Red Sox, a team that is so hot on the heels of the Yankees, it's ridiculous. And you're thinking to yourself, the Yankees couldn't have done this? These guys were available? Arias, who went from the Giants to the Phillies. You're talking about the National League batting champion the past few years. He was available. The Yankees didn't get him. This is the thing. I look at the whole trade deadline and the Yankees and Brian Cashman, and what strikes me, Chris, is there was no sense of urgency. Well, we're going to make the playoffs. Our pitching will be there. We should be fine. A lot of what's going on with the Yankees is they hope Judge is back, and he was cleared to do some running and upper body stuff this week. They hope Stanton comes back. They hope Rodon is Rodon when he comes back. They hope this kid Lombard Jr. is the real deal. Hope's not a strategy. Last time I checked, it's not a strategy. So you think Adley Rutschman walks into that Red Sox clubhouse, as hot as that team is, what do you think the reaction is up there? Dude, we got a chance to win this all now that you're here. As good as George Lombard Jr. may be, as good as Ramos might help the lineup, you think when either of those guys walked in the clubhouse after the trade deadline and the call-ups and what have you, Yankee players are going, ho, 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 hey, we're going to win it all now, baby. No, of course not. It's hope. We hope this all works out, and hope's not a strategy.
It's not. And for me, I didn't want to crush Cashman on this, but there really wasn't a choice for me. It's not what the Yankees did at the deadline. It's what they didn't do and what they let happen. Rutschman goes to another team, fine. Hicks goes to another team, fine. They didn't just go to any teams. They went to the two teams you're fighting against. One you're trying to catch, and one is about to catch you, and you're looking over your shoulder and in your rearview mirror, and they're coming on quick. And you let both of them go in your division. That's unacceptable to me. I'm sorry. That's a bad job by the GM, who has in his history been very good at the trade deadline. This one, I just don't understand, and I can't make a case. I can't make a reasoning as to why he did or didn't do enough to make sure that at least if you didn't get Rutschman or Hicks, there was another plan in place, a contingency plan, something to offset those two acquisitions and to be able to pivot. He did none of it, and I don't understand why.
It could be a matter of overhyping your prospects or believing in your prospects too much. It could be they just feel if we get to the playoffs, we've got the pitching now, and anything can happen once you get there. And I still believe that the Yankees are going to be in the playoffs, barring a monumental collapse, a Red Sox reverse, if you will. I mean, what Boston's doing brings back memories of the 1984 Detroit Tigers, who won 35 of their first 40 games and just coasted. I mean, the Red Sox are doing it, obviously, in the middle of the season. Right. But here was something that jumped out at me this trade deadline. There were at least 12 former or first-round draft picks.
Right.
12 first-round draft picks who got moved in some way, shape, or form. 10 of them via trades, and then you have Lombard being called up and Volpe sent down. So if you can do this, if you can have guys who are, I mean, the Red Sox just got rid of Marcelo Meyer, who was a first-round draft pick. Can't miss. Well, guess what? He missed. Volpe,
he missed.
First round. Guess what? I think he missed. And you look at some of these other guys. Austin Wells is on the bubble right now. He's a first-round pick. So what's it telling you?
Not a first-round pick, but Jason Dominguez.
Well, Domingos was highly rated, but he wasn't a
Was
draft pick.
he was a high right,
Right.
but you see my point. It goes along with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That these guys, for all the hype, they get to the show and it's no go. And at some point, the teams have to cut bait, and they just go, it's not happening. And it's a long line of players that looked really good and should have been, could have been, but weren't.
It's from prospect to suspect. That's,
I
basically
like
what
that.
you have here.
Yeah.
And you see that all the time. You see it all the time at every team. Obviously we're focusing on the Yankees because they're local to
Right.
us. And Volpe, a number one draft pick. And you've got some other guys, Lombard Jr., a number one
Yeah.
draft pick. What if he doesn't work out? He had a great opening night. My goodness, what an opening night he had. And even
Right.
as a non-Yankee fan, I have to admit, when he hit that home run for his first hit, and I see his parents, he's like, wow, what a special moment that is. But like, oh my gosh, you've got all of August and September. And what if it just doesn't happen for him?
Well, I will tell you, I looked this up. He is the 144th MLB player to hit a home run in his first at bat. So there are a lot of players. You know who else hit a home run in his first at bat ever? Brett Beatty for the Mets. Is he all world? Are we talking about him as one of the best players in the league? No. A lot of players, yeah, they get lucky. This could go either way. I love what I see from him. I love his glove. I love the way he looks. I love the way he handles himself. He looks big league ready, but you know what? You don't know. Every player is going to slump. It's a virtual certainty. How is he going to handle his first slump? We're going to find out. And it's going to be over the next 2 months when the playoffs are coming. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he acclimates himself to the big league game and so close to playoff season.
One of the other things that I want to keep an eye on is what the Yankees do with Anthony Volpe now that he's down with Scranton Wilkes-Barre. 2 games so far since the demotion. He's not been in the lineup. There's talk about him going to second base. I think it's really smart. Hopefully, he's not pushing back. I know that a couple of
Right.
weeks ago there were some rumors that Volpe, when he had been sent down earlier, and one of the guys talking about it was Michael Kay. He walked
Yep.
it back, but he was one of the guys saying Volpe refused to go to second base. I find that very hard to believe, but I also think that if it was coming from a guy like Kay, who's around the team all the time, there had to be at least a kernel of truth about it. Maybe Volpe wasn't quite as demonstrative as it sounded,
Right.
but there had to be at least a kernel of truth for it to come from the people that it was coming from. Put him at second base for a while. Let's develop him to another position. Maybe he becomes a trade piece later on, or maybe he comes up again later in the season and he turns into a better version of Jazz Chisholm, who can play multiple positions, or
Right.
Caballero, who can play multiple positions.
Yeah. I mean, if they leave him down there for a while and let him reset, and I mean, we're talking hard reset. We're not talking like a 2 week reset. He needs to be down there and really get himself right. Maybe you have something at second base. Who knows? But you know what? Even to get himself right for the off season, if there is an off season, barring a lockout,
Be a long off
Cashman
season.
needs to. Yeah, it might be a very long off season, but something to give Cashman negotiating tools with. Like, hey, he looked really good at the end of the year. He's learned second base. Something, some kind of positive that even if the Yankees don't have him in their long term plans, they maybe have something to bargain with to bring him as a trade chip in the offseason.
Brian Cashman was on WFAN, one of the sports talk stations in the city, after the trade deadline, and he danced around a few questions. He was asked, "Did you kick the tires on Lindor with the Mets?" And he really danced around it. And he danced around what was going on with Aaron Judge. He wouldn't give up any information. And
Right.
again, we found out on Wednesday that Judge has been cleared following his most recent scan to at least begin some light activity. But one of the things that stood out was him saying that Anthony Volpe is what was the quote exactly? An excellent, exceptional. He was an exceptional
Exception.
defensive shortstop. I'm like, Brian, don't gaslight us. Come on. We know what we saw. I know we won a gold glove. I get it. But like, just come out and say, Anthony has some things to work on. We still believe in him and go from there. But to come out and gaslight Yankee fans who know what they see on a day-to-day basis. Yankee fans are smart. They're not stupid. They follow this team very, very closely. And I just thought, like, I understand what he's trying to do. There's a Yankee
Right.
philosophy of not putting your players down. You can see it with Cashman. You can see it with Aaron Boone. I know it drives
Yep.
Yankee fans crazy that he's not flipping over the buffet table in the middle of the locker room afterwards. I get it. He's not trashing the players to the media. They want that. They're not going to get it. I think a little bit more honesty would have been welcome and refreshing in that case.
I think what he said in that case is insulting. It's insulting to the fan base. And I think you could protect a player, but also point out there are faults, there are things that need to change. It's not working for the ball club. It's not working for Anthony. He's regressing. Things you could say that don't necessarily directly point the finger at him, but you're not making it out to be you guys know so much better because you're the team than fans that could clearly watch the game every night and see what he's doing or lack thereof and try to insult their intelligence by saying he's still an exceptional fielder. No, he's not an exceptional anything right now. He's an exceptional liability. I'll give you that if you want, but it just it. I feel like they wanted to just protect him to the end, and even sending him down, they did it Monday night after the trade deadline. After late, it broke after the game on Monday night, I believe, and it reeked all the way. Like they were just going to do everything in their power to protect Volpe at all costs. Even when they had to send them down, they weren't going to admit their faults. They were going to dig their heels in the sand and just say, no, Anthony's a great ball player. He's just, and hard stop. We still believe in Anthony, and that would have been fine, but don't insult the fans by trying to tell them, well, don't look here. Don't look behind the curtain. It didn't sit well with me at all.
I don't remember whether it was Carton or CMAC on WFAN who asked the Lindor question, but I thought that Cashman's answer was interesting in that he didn't say, "Oh, the Mets weren't going to do anything with Lindor." He danced around the whole thing, and you and I had talked about
Yep.
this a couple of weeks ago. Would the Yankees consider?
Yep.
Would the Mets consider? And the Mets did a pretty big house cleaning at the trade
They
deadline.
did.
There's a lot of guys on that roster who are no longer there, and you're looking at who's this guy? What
Right.
number is
It's like
who's this guy?
it's like it's like the opening scene in the movie Major League when they're looking at the lineup after they get all these guys in camp and they're like, who the hell are these guys? And they're going through the lineup. All the fans are going, who the heck is this guy? But yeah, I mean, they cleaned house. And, if that riff is really there between Lindor and Soto and they could have found a buyer, I mean, I couldn't imagine the Yankees wouldn't want to at least have kicked the tires and been like, so what would you want for him? Or what would it take? Could you imagine the back pages of the headlines of any local newspaper, Post News, whatever, of Soto versus Lindor, Bronx versus Queens, Mets Yankees? That would be epic. The ego, who could outdo who? I mean, it would be fantastic to even think about that actually happening.
One of the things that George Steinbrenner used to say was, "I can get the back page of the papers anytime I want," because he knew how to play that game. That would have been amazing. It really, and as much as I think Yankee fans have a lot of revisionist history when it comes to
Right.
George Steinbrenner, well, the boss wouldn't have allowed this. The boss would have done this. The boss,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I know. Yeah, we've all
yeah.
been there. If it weren't for Gene Michael, Gene Michael was the one responsible for a lot
Yes.
of that. What you
And
Yankee fans are saying George Steinbrenner was responsible for.
and when Gene was at his best was when George wasn't allowed to be in baseball.
Thank you.
So that's not a coincidence. Listen, I lived through the 80s Yankees. I know how painful it was. They wasted Don Mattingly, one of the greatest Yankees of all time. Don't get me started. See, I'm going to get all hot and bothered now. But they wasted one of the greatest Yankees of all time in Don Mattingly. They wasted his best years because they had horrible teams. And who was leading the charge? George Steinbrenner. So let's not, put George on such a, listen, George would spend on the team and he would do anything to win, but he didn't know how to win properly. He had no patience, and the moves he made weren't the right ones. So while he wanted to win, he didn't necessarily know how. There was a whole big gap between the late 70s and the 90s teams. So let's not, get too revisionist history here.
You're speaking my language. And that's the 2 minute drill for another week. If you like what we do, tell a friend. You hate what we do, tell an enemy. Just tell somebody. Like, subscribe, comment, and we will talk to you next week.
You got it, Jim. Enjoy.